is the first video with the new iPad, so we'll see how that runs through. First bolt action game since November, which is crazy. Just everything has transpired and not to play, and been playing with the Congo game. So today we're playing bolt action. I'm going to be playing Andy and his Russians. It's going to be a little practice game for our tournament that's coming up, which is Stand 2 at the end of April. So we've set it up as we have. We've got some ploughed fields, which are not any difficulty for crossing, but they've got fences around them, sort of soft cover. And then we've got some cornfields, which are going to be cover and difficult walking through. And then we've just got the hedges, the normal hedges, and trees. And ruins as dense terrain, so you can't see through them. So that's the table for today. And I've done a picture of the armies, and I'll go through those next. Have a look at Andy's army. So let's start from the front left. He's got the first lieutenant veteran. He's got an armoured car with a light anti-tank gun and medium machine gun. He's got the T-34 there with a medium anti-tank gun. He's got a regular medium mortar and a truck with a MMG. Infantry-wise, went slightly different. He had the inexperienced squad. He had an SMG squad, veteran, and he had an assault engineer squad, which was veteran 2. He then had a sniper, and he had an anti-tank gun, anti-tank rifle. And I think that was what Andy's army was comprised of. You may recognise this army if you're a regular viewer. This was the army that I took, or very similar to the army that I took to the Warlord GT in 2018. This is my Ball of Fire North Africa or East Africa army. And with this one I've got a second lieutenant. I've got the forward air observer. Discount the anti-tank rifle. He shouldn't have been there, but I should have a medic. I've got a truck. I've got a regular squad of infantry for my Indians, and they are just rifles and LMG. 2 units of those, 8-men squads. I've then got a unit of 8 Gurkhas with rifles, and then I've got 2 commando units with submachine guns. I've got a 25-pounder, the Universal Carrier, the Matilda, the Lanchester Armoured Car, and a medium mortar. This army was based on the Battle of Keren in February 1941. So that was my army. The game we're going to be playing is going to be very similar to Top Secret, where nobody's allowed onto the board at the beginning. What we're going to do though is down the centre line, 1 foot in on the left, 1 foot in on the right, and 1 in the middle is 3 objectives. And if you are within 3 inches of the objective and no enemy within 3 inches, you score 1 point each turn. So my theory is to grab 2 of them and leave 1. That's the theory. So we've done turn 1, so we'll have a quick wind up. The Soviets are coming off on the table. What we've got is we've got 3 objectives. 1 here, 1 in the middle with the dice, and 1 over there by the tank obstacles. You get a point each turn. You have 3 a man. You get 1 point for each unit, for a unit within 3 inches of it, which isn't being contested. So we've got nobody within 3 inches of it yet, so that's all okay. I've brought my East African army on. I'm on this side. As you can see, I've lost a casualty already, and I've got 1 pin, and that was from Andy's little armoured car with the machine gun on that far side. Moving around onto here, his tank came on over on that side, because his was the last dice were out. I left my armoured car a little bit exposed, but fortunately Andy rolled a 1 to hit it, and he took a shot with the machine gun at the Indian unit on the left here, and again that failed to put a pin on them at all or any injuries. So that's the first turn. We've brought everything on. Nothing started on the table, and the objective is, as I said, is to rack up points from those objectives. So into turn 2. There were a few risks taken in this turn by myself mostly. I ran the armoured car right up the road and took some shots at the Russians who went down, but I still killed 2 and they took a pin. Andy then retaliated, or tried to, with his armoured car, moved that up and took a shot, but missed, which was really lucky. The truck then came up, and then I tried to put a bit of damage on it and blow it up. I managed one shot with my Indians that I moved in. You can see that there is another Indian that's been killed, and that was from the truck's machine gun. Yeah, I did manage to put a pin on the truck, but Andy passed his test and hopped out his assault engineers, who proceeded to try and flamethrower the armoured car. Unfortunately, they had forgotten the ignition system, and it didn't work. So I have lived a very charmed life. You wonder how charmed? Incredibly charmed, because his tank has come up and fired a shot at the rear, needing a 4, and he rolled a 3. So I didn't take a punishment on it, so that was fortunate. However, wasn't so good with his machine gun on this one. I did take a lot of pain on this one, and he rolled exceptionally good, as you can see, and got the exceptional hit on my unit and took out the NCO. So 3 casualties and a dead NCO. That was rather harsh. The little guys over there, they're the inexperienced. They did put a pin, so that they should have 2 pins, shouldn't they? Because you did hit. No, you didn't hit, did you? No, you needed 7s, 6s followed by 6s, and didn't get any. So I do need to put a pin on these from being hit, and I shall use my little pin marker. If you haven't seen them before, that's my pin marker, and they come from historicgame.com. Very useful ones. So yeah, over here I'm sort of bunching up a little bit. I've debussed the Gurkhas from the truck, and they're going to try and make their way up the centre to try and bolster the middle and perhaps try and get that objective. Over here I have got my commandos on the first objective, and we've got 1 point for that, so that's okay. I've moved the medic up. You may think he's another commando with his bobble hat and his SMG, but in this game he's the medic. And I've moved up the tank in the middle. So that's the end of turn 2. End of the turn, with my last dice, I placed my free artillery observer, artillery strike down. And I've put it there. I can't see anywhere in the rules that says I can't put it down there and have my little armoured car at risk. But if anybody knows any difference, stick it in. I know it's not sporting and it's not good cricket, but the devil drives when he must. So let's have a look. Got to roll to see if it's going to come in, and we'll roll up the middle of the road, and it's a 2, and it's delayed. So into turn 3. So things are looking a bit grim for the Indians over here. They've been shot at by the submachine gun unit that have come up. They've been shot at by the tank that's driven up to the wall to negate their cover. But we only lost 2 men and got 2 pins. For their valour, they took a shot at the inexperienced infantry and killed 1. So therefore, killed 2. And then Andy had to take a test because he got inexperienced green. So he rolled a dice and rolled a 1, sadly, for him, and he had to roll to see how many pins they got. So they got 3 additional pins, and they remained as inexperienced. The tank, though, and this is for Travis at Tabletop CP, fired up the chuff of my armoured car and took it out this turn. It was a very big hit. In fact, it was so big, hit it on a 5, then scored a 6 to penetrate it, and with a double penetration blew it totally up. So that disappeared in smoke. Over here, I was able to kill 2 of the assault engineers with the armoured car before it demised, and then Andy passed his leadership test and moved them forward up to this point here. So they're threatening these units, but they're also, I think, within 3 of the objective there as well. Over on this side, I've moved up my commandos. We managed to kill the anti-tank rifle team, so we've got rid of them, and we're hunkering down on the objective. Andy brought up his LMG team, got them to move again, and they're now safely in the building. Realised that I've been cheating with my Matilda, which is slow, so we've moved it back 6 inches. So it's in situ there. Officer has come up into the centre, and the Gurkhas are moving up into the middle as well. So what Andy needs to do is a quick measure. I think they're within 3, aren't they?
No.
No, so they're not within 3?
No.
And over here, anyone within 3?
No, because it's the men, isn't it? The vehicle doesn't count.
No, my men.
Your men might be. Yes, you
Yep.
are.
So I'm within 3.
You've got one there.
One there and there. So
one there.
2 points to me for this one. So, pan out a little bit. Oh, I did take a shot with my anti-tank. No, with my light pound, 25 pounder. God, it's confusing because it can do anti-tank and it can do HE. I did take a shot at the assault engineers with them, but it didn't work. So we're going to move into turn 4 now. I've rolled for the artillery strike coming in this turn, and unfortunately I rolled a 1, so it means it's going to go in a random direction, 3d6. So there may be a bit of shake. That is not what I wanted, because it's coming back to me.
8 inches.
8 inches. Which is even worse, because I've now got to roll to see how big the template is. So that's it's an 11-inch template. Right, so that's my Gurkha's hit. That's me spotter hit. That's your people hit. Your tank hit.
That's it.
Ah, well, that's perhaps not so bad as I thought then. So the tank hit, tank hunters hit, the Gurkhas hit, and my spotter hit. So let's see what we're going to do with that. That could have been worse for both of us. So we both elected to go down. So Andy elected to go down with his troops and I went down with mine. I picked up 2 pins. Andy picked up 3 pins. The spotter picked up a pin. And the tank picked up 2 pins. So it wasn't that bad after all. But it could have been both ways really. This has been a very messy turn. Very messy turn indeed. What I did, I took a little risk and I had to hope that the dice were going to be in my favour, and fortunately it was. I moved the armoured carrier. It's not an armoured car this time, it's just a transport. And I'm down to just the 1 shot with the LMG. So I did want to take out the mortar as best I could. Managed to get a pin on it and take out a man, so that wasn't so bad. And then my next dice up, I was able to put the little tanky on ambush, which gave Andy the decision to whether he should try and go and protect and take out my armoured carrier. And he went on probability, and in hindsight it was probably wrong. Because he moved across a little gap, I needed a 4 to hit, and I got it, and then blew it up on the rolls. So that was a bit of a shame for him. The artillery strike probably saved Andy quite a lot by forcing the little men to go down. So they've got quite a few pins, but they'll probably rally them off this next turn. I lost my officer. I moved them up to the wall to take some cheeky shots at the assault engineers. Didn't get what I wanted. And then Andy moved his little officer up with his submachine gun. Just 2 shots, just needing 6s, and rolled 2 6s, and then proceeded to roll a 4 and a 5 because I haven't got veterans, I've only got regulars. And that killed 1 man, took a leadership test, and I failed it. So they've disappeared now. The officer's gone. He's done a runner. Over here I'm getting some pins for this, getting some points. So I get 1 point for that one. Andy's not in control of this one, so no points for that. However, on the left-hand side, no Indians. They have been duffed up totally. And Andy has got the objective on that side. So he clocks up a point for that one. So at the moment, I'm on 4 and you're on 3. So pretty close. Pretty close. Going into turn 5. End of turn 5, and it's getting more messy. Andy did a really nice little move to do a snap 2 with his first lieutenant. Did the truck, did the first lieutenant, and tried to rally off all the pins of the assault engineers, and it nearly worked. Unfortunately, he only rolled a 2 on the rally dice, and it left him with 3 pins, which was a bit of a shame, really, for Andy. I tried to move the Gurkhas, and unfortunately they went down. I rolled an 11. Tried to action with the Indians and rolled an 11, and they went down, which was not so good. So yeah, both the mortar and the 25-pounder missed their 5s required to hit the assault engineers. And then over here we did run around the universal carrier, and we did kill another one of the crew, so that's only got 1 man left, hasn't he? 2 men left?
Yeah, he killed 1, 2 crew left, 3 crew.
Did I not kill 1 last time?
No,
Oh, did I just put a pin?
Just put a pin.
Right, that's it. So they've got 2 men left. Rallied 1 unit of commandos, and the other unit of commandos have taken a couple of pins. Yeah, interesting. Not quite sure where we're going with this, but Andy's moved off his unit of submachine guns here to move them up, I think, to try and get to the second objective over there, which means he loses a point on that one. So point-wise, I go up to 5, and Andy goes up to...
no, still on 3.
Still on 3. So I'm just ahead a little bit. Fortunately, I think it's the assault engineers in the middle that's caused the problem for Andy, I think.
Yeah.
So, into turn 6. End of turn 6, and I've managed to deal with those pesky assault engineers. I use the up and atom special rule for the British for fielding this army, because I've got the 2 commander units and the Gurkhas. So the Gurkhas were able to charge without pins, without having to take a test for the pins. They keep the pins, and we managed to duff up the team. The 1 man on his own, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, 1 man on his own, because I did manage to get a lob on him.
But I assaulted, didn't I?
And then assaulted. It is a really tricky one, because Andy had assaulted my Indian regiment in the ruins, duffed them up very handsomely, and then got a 6 to consolidate and went back to get within 3 inches of the objective. But he moved back into the area of where the artillery was ranged in. And with the rules, we think that because he was still in the area that the artillery was going to hit, then that still counted. So we took that. The officer moved up around the truck to get into 3 inches of the objective, so it was lucky for me to be able to kill the lone tank man, but it was very difficult because I needed to get a 6 on 6 dice, and Andy just needed to get hit. But yeah, 6s to get a kill is pretty tough with those Soviet ones. So we're there. The tank took a shot at the 25-pounder and did kill 1 man and put 1 pin on it. I passed it to be able to take a shot. I had to go down with my little man here. I wanted to keep him up to use him, but Andy moved up his Russian team here, and I had to put him down to try and make him survive, and which fortunately he did. On this side, the inexperienced unit have come into base contact with the objective, and we're now running at objectives 6 plays 4. So I'm 2 up at the moment, and we're going to roll to see whether we're going to turn 7. So 1, 2, 3 we don't, 4, 5, 6 we do.
You do?
And we do, and we're going to go into turn 7. Now that was just an amazing end to the game for the Gurkhas. Andy decided he needed to shoot to kill them, but being down, and mostly to the truck and the officer, they are in dense terrain, whereas to the tank and to the machine gun people, the submachine gun people, they are just normal terrain because they're so close. Andy decided to go big gun and machine gun. Where you probably should have gone 2 machine guns, shouldn't you? I think.
Hindsight.
Yeah, hindsight is always good. So the Gurkhas end up contesting that middle one. So at the end of turn 7, that gave me 7 points to 5.
So you get one more, and I get one more. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 points to 5. So we'll probably need to say that it's a win by 2, wouldn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, to win by 2. But the Gurkhas have got 9 pins on them. Oh, perhaps they disappear. No, they'd have to have 10 pins to disappear, wouldn't
10 pins, they automatically disappear.
Yeah, 10 pins, they would automatically disappear. Yeah, so very lucky to keep them surviving as they were, panning out on there. So Andy had his inexperienced troops on the objective over that side. I had my commandos on this side. I advanced the commandos over there and charged them into the building to kill off the LNG unit, and we did that. Tried a really sneaky shot with the artillery onto the truck, but I would have needed a 6 to have a chance of hitting both of them under this template, but that didn't work. So yeah, at the end, 7 points to 5. A fun game, I think.
It was good.
That one? That was an interesting game. Good fun game, that one. Well, we were a bit rusty playing that game, but had fun. And probably get some more bolt action games in as best we can. We've got our event coming up, Stand 2, which is a 1,000-point little event. We tried to theme it to early wars, and the cut-off date is December 41 for the armies. So we're only just going down one reinforced platoon, and it's going to be from the army books. So the armies of books. So you can go generic, but it's got to be within 41 and use the troops that would have been applicable and the equipment. And it should be good fun. It's all sold out. We had 20 tickets and they've all gone. So that's quite good. So this game here, well, yeah, sort of went to plan. I got the 2 objectives. Got one very early on with the commandos up in the Universal Carrier. So they did well, getting up that far. And then the centre one, that was a bit of a fight, really. And I was really lucky with the Gurkhas. I always give them up an atom, which means that you can attack without worrying about taking a leadership test for pins. It gets you going, which is good. I use it for the paratroopers as well. When I do paratrooper lists, well, all British lists really, it just gives you that little option. And in this one it worked because I could get in to attack those assault engineers. So good game, good fun with Andy again. So next up, I think it's going to be a learning game for a friend, Alan. It'll be his first bolt action game, so we'll do that. And then we may be trying to get another bolt action game in before the end of the week. So I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Put any comments in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't. If your friends you think your friends might like it, give it a share. And thanks very much for watching. And I do have the Ko-fi campaign going on just to top up and get different things to do views and reviews on. So if you want to do that, I'll stick a link in the description, and it's there for anyone to do. So anyway, thank you very much and take care.